this is the only way that y'all are establishing a shooting at Waters Road on March 12th? Yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, the state can call other witnesses or evidence about that shooting, but we intended to call and introduce this cat report 911 currently.
I understand that y'all want to. Was that the only evidence that y'all were going to put up that this occurred on March 12th? Was this 911 call and boyfriend or husband and the discovery that on March 13th this window was shot out? That's how y'all are going to establish a shooting on March 12th?
In order to cut down witnesses, Your Honor, I mean, we have other witnesses. I mean, we could call Ms. Zachary, we could call the responding officer, but in order to shorten, we get the complaint that we need to shorten the case. And so what we're trying to do is there's a 911 call. There's two 911 calls. There's a 911 call from March 12th.
Okay. Are you planning to introduce that?
Yes. That's the day before.
Okay. But after the shooting occurs, correct?
The 911 calls as the shooting occurs, the woman is in her house and she said, they're shooting down my street.
Okay. Yes. So why isn't that enough?
Because this was the further evidence of that. So that's why we're playing the two 911 calls, because the March 12th call, right, there shows that she called, the first caller never went outside. All she says is there's shots fired. On March 13th, when that witness goes outside, she sees that her car has been riddled by bullets. Now, there's additional evidence that Ms. Zachary would bring in that her daughter heard the gunshots the night before, but we're not bringing that in. So what we're trying to do is tie in the first call from March 12th and then the call from March 13th. There's more evidence, but we're trying to, as best, get in what is relevant to establish that there was a shooting. Again, all of these shootings are in response to what happens in February with Wyeth and Lucci getting stabbed.
Is it riddled with bullets?
When you say, excuse me, maybe I shouldn't say riddled with bullets, but there are bullet holes in her vehicle.
How many?
I believe there's one to her vehicle.
Okay. Y'all can no. Just no. We have got to figure out some things that we can do without in this case, and this is one of them. And not because it's hearsay or confrontation clause. Just because it's just too much. Waste of time. Okay, let's move on to the next.
Your Honor?
Yes.
May I just ask for clarification? Does that also apply to Frederick, I believe it's Frederick Whetstone, the boyfriend that lives there?
Yes.
Okay.
He doesn't need to testify either.
Okay, thank you.
If we have established the shooting occurred, we don't need more people establishing that the next day they discovered that the shooting occurred. All right, let's move on to the next.
Your Honor, may I have some clarification? Just the court is excluding the 911 call. What is it that the court is excluding?
Yes, that 911 call from whomever the next day that she discovered that there was a bullet to her car.
Okay.
And whoever that is, the boyfriend or the husband who was going to come and say, yeah, there was a bullet to the car.
Okay, he wasn't only going to testify to that. And
what else was he going to testify to?
This is a person, she and he, who have been living next to this particular location for some months at least.
Okay.
They see who comes and goes, and they see what cars, what vehicles come up to the location.
Okay.
They see the nature of the interaction of people with the location. And as far as that particular night goes, as Ms. Hilton said, she heard what she thought was gunfire. And we are, of course, adhering to the court's ruling regarding the 911 call. But she heard what she thought was gunfire. She saw evidence of it. They saw evidence of it the next morning. But
okay, but he's not going to testify that the girlfriend, heard gunfire.
No, he's not to test. No, no. Mm-mm.
So whomever this person is, the boyfriend or husband, is going to come say, here are the comings and goings that I noticed over the course of the last few months, including the night of this shooting. Here's who I saw, or here's what cars or whatever.
Right.
Okay, that's
this
fine.
Is what, right. This is what we anticipate from that particular witness. The female, the young woman that Miss Hilton mentioned earlier, she, in addition to showing us, or in addition to having that bullet hole in her car, she has met with us and shown us the bullet holes in her house. We don't have those photographs. I'm just telling the court what.
Was she going to testify also?
We took her name off the list.
Okay. All right.
In an effort for brevity's sake, but I'm just letting the court know that these people who live next door to that location had more to talk about than just a bullet.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine.
Well, Your Honor, in response to that, and I'm going off of memory, the recorded statement that is really the only record we have of what Mr. Whetstone would be adding. I believe
What's the name of this guy?
I believe I'm being accurate with Mr. Whetstone, but
Wesley?
Whetstone.
Whetstone, okay.
And the issue I have is, and just to be clear, Mr. Whetstone, as I understand it, is not testifying, oh, I saw a Audi with this tag number. I know, I'm just using Shannon as an example. I know Shannon, and I see him going in there. Mm-hmm. The interview he gave to the police, it was much more like, man, there's all sorts of stuff going on at that house, and it's ruining our neighborhood type generalized speak. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate to just paint in a broad brush with testimony. And so I disagree with the state when they assert that this gentleman would be adding a lot more about what's going on with the house. It was just kind of a complaint that we all have with different people in our neighborhoods complaining about the residents of a certain house in the neighborhood.
All right.
Your Honor, it's not that broad, and we did provide contact information. It's not that general as it was placed before the court. We've provided contact information for anyone to speak to this person. So it's more detailed than what he provided.
Okay, so is it going to be something that tends to establish that the comings and goings were by a particular gang or group of people?
A particular group of people, and again, the nature, the type of traffic, if you will.
Meaning?
At the house.
Meaning what?
He will not be saying, oh, there's drug dealing going on at the house, but just a frequency of different visitors to the house, the vehicles he observed at the house.
And the vehicles are going to be tied to
what? YSL members. One in particular. Well, one in particular belongs to Mr. Williams, for instance. For instance, I'll leave it there.
Okay. Well, if he is going to be able to testify to seeing particular vehicles with, whatever frequency he's going to testify to, and there's something that ties those vehicles to these defendants or other YSL members, then that seems irrelevant. So.
Thank you, Your Honor. And yes, it was the Waters Road, obviously, the court has heard us say before, is a YSL spot.
Right.
And the shootings and the activity at the house.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.